Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning, and welcome to this Specialist Trading educational presentation. Now, today I'd like to talk to you about how to avoid turning a winning trade into a losing one. It's often been stated that that's actually the worst feeling in the world for a trader. And I remember some years ago when I first started trading, some 4 decades ago actually, that was one of my worst feelings. I hated to feel that, I had been struggling with my trading when I first started out, and then finally I'd get into a situation where I had a winning trade, and then I'd walk away because I was on the trading floor at the time, or even I'd hold a position overnight, and then what I thought was a winning trade had soon turned into a losing trade. And in fact, something that I really wanted to get out of in a relatively short amount of time now turned into a long-term position, because I was now holding on to the position and holding and waiting for it to go back up to get out, hopefully just break even. So it's really difficult to have a winning trade turn into a losing one. In fact, some traders have said that they would rather know that they got into a position, and the minute they bought or sold something and went the opposite way, that actually wouldn't be as bad as a trade that actually went your way and that you were holding on to and then all of a sudden reversed and turned into a loser. For example, let's look at this trade right here, which exemplifies what I'm talking about. Whoops. We'll start out here in LAD. Now this is in May coming into June of last month. As we see, the stock really is not doing much, but then all of a sudden, here's the slide we wanted to share with you, goes up. So this triggers, let's say, a buy signal. This is one of our buy signals, one of our methods. So mostly what you would have done is buy right there on that breakout, thinking you're going to have a good trade. And in fact, for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you had a really nice trade, all right? But let's say you got a little greedy. Maybe you went to that chat room, or maybe you listened too much to the pundits on TV and they said the market's going to skyrocket. This is just the beginning in this stock. You've got to hold on because this is going to go way higher. In fact, if anything, you should probably buy more. So perhaps you bought more here at the top, and then rather than getting out, look what happened. You gave away almost all of your profit, a good portion of it. It's extremely discouraging, and I know because when I first started out, I went through this a lot myself. Now, with the method I'm going to be sharing with you today, the process, you actually would have bought at the same place, but with this two-step process, you would have actually exited right here, right before the market started turning around and having your winning trade turn into a losing trade. And in fact, had you exited here, you could have potentially captured 30 points instead of giving a lot of that back. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, I'm not that type of a trader. I'm, not that technical, and it's difficult for me to follow a system or a strategy. I don't think that way. I like to just, jump off the boat and go right in, feet first, and trade. Well, don't worry, because we've actually made it simple for you. This simple process is actually automated on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform. This is the educational platform that really teaches traders how to trade. It's really, in my opinion, state of the art, because all the things I've accumulated in my 43 years of trading are right here on the platform. So you can basically click everything and have access to everything I've learned and traded with in my 4+ decades. So this is going to be a great educational presentation. Thank you once again for joining us. My name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. And first and foremost, we are strictly an educational company. So if you've come here today thinking I'm going to tell you what the market's going to do, or you come here today thinking that I'm going to tell you what the best stock is to buy, you've really come to the wrong place. We don't do that. You're probably better if you went to another webinar or listen to the guys on TV or in a blog, because we don't do that. In fact, we don't believe in that. We believe that that's the main reason why most traders fail, because when you just blindly follow what someone else is telling you what they think, most likely you're going to join the ranks of the 85% of all traders who fail. The entire industry is based on you just going to a website or watching some guy on TV or listening to the institutions tell you what they're doing so that you can blindly follow along. And ultimately that doesn't work, because it shows in the statistics, because 85% of all traders fail, and most traders trade that way. They follow someone thinking that they know the answers. We have a different approach. In my 43 years of trading, I have found out that the only traders that actually are consistent and that are still trading decades later are the ones that don't listen to those outside sources. These are the ones that make their own trading decisions. They don't listen to the news. They don't go to a chat room or a trading room to find out what someone likes or doesn't like. They don't watch TV or look at economic reports. They simply have a method that they trust in, they feel comfortable with, and they listen to themselves and the only other thing they should be listening to, which is the market, the chart in front of them. These are the traders that are consistently generating nice trades, and this is what my goal is, to make you, each and every one of you, one of those type of traders, a very consistent, long-lasting trader. That's why we simply provide our students around the world in over 115 countries with strictly with education. Because with education, then you'll be able to make your own trading decisions. You'll see how much we devote to educating you in today's presentation. But before we begin, we're required by law to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results with this particular method I'm going to be sharing with you today for capturing profits and then holding on to them and not having a winning trade turn into a losing trade. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the examples I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, speaking of more education, if you're interested in getting some more free education, I invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there at SPCLSTTRADG. You may want to copy down that handle because I post different information on a daily basis. Anywhere from some of our signals where they post or they show, I should say, high probability entry points to little bits of financial wisdom. So there's lots of great free education. Please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now remember, as I stated, our only goal, our only purpose at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site, is simply to educate you. As you can see here, my goal is not to force feed you signals. It's not to tell you what to buy or sell. It's not to tell you what I think of the markets. All right? That's not our job. Our job is simply to educate you as a mentor. A good mentor does not trade for you, but he teaches you how to trade. So as you can see, our goal is to teach you how to trade with a specialist edge. The same edge I was taught some 43 years ago that has sustained my trading, and hopefully it will be able to sustain your trading as well. Now, since this is a class today, please, as I always state every week, ask me as many questions as you'd like, but please wait till the end of class. This won't be very long, probably about a half hour or so. So at the end of the half hour, we'll go into questions. If you have any questions, that's the time to ask. The only time I will answer a question is right now, and that is the most common one, and that is this being recorded? Yes, it is. Oftentimes, a lot of our attendees have difficulty seeing or hearing the webinar clearly. So if you just log off and then log back on, many times it'll be resolved. But if you have to leave early, if you're having technical issues, don't worry. We'll send each and every one of you a link to this recording, okay? So please, if you join us late, we have a good crowd here today. Kindly wait till the end, and then I'll answer the questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, with that stated, let's begin today's educational class, and let's take it step by step, because there is a simple two-step process that you must follow in order to have your winning trades not turn into losing trades. So here's the process we're going to share with you. First, you want to apply a winning edge, something that has consistency that's shown to generate these high probability trades, and that is our PTS-XT Extreme Trend Indicator. It's a great tool. It's fairly new. It's only been introduced about 3 or 4 months now to all of our students around the world, and we've gotten just rave reviews about it, about how it's really helped their trading for the first time. In fact, many students have given us testimonials saying for the very first time using the PTS-XT tool, they've become consistent where they weren't consistent traders before. So you want to have an edge in your trading, either a strategy or a method. And most likely you're here today because your edge is kind of faulty. It's really not giving you the type of results. Well, the PTS-XT has an extreme trend edge, and we're going to share with you exactly how to use it. So you want to have an edge that's going to be able to generate these really nice, consistent trades. But then once you have that edge, you have to make sure that you're protecting those trades. So what we want to do then is go, or I should say, let me just explain to you. I know a lot of you don't know what the PTS-XT is. Let me explain what that is first. It's a proprietary indicator designed to announce in advance when a strong trend is just about to begin. So this is why our students are giving us rave reviews, because it really tells you in advance, and I'll show you in just a few minutes, when a strong trend is just about to start. So it's a great, great way to get involved in a stock, a future, a currency pair before the move even starts. Okay, so that's step one. Now, in order to protect that trade, we want to go into step two, and that's applying range extension exit levels. I know a lot of you are saying, well, what is this? I've never heard of this before. Well, what exactly are range extensions? Well, they're a calculated exit method. We teach you all the rules in our course, and it's based on price ranges that are automatically generated on our platform. So the beauty of applying these two edges that are going to help you to hold on to those winning trades as opposed to turning them into losing trades is that they're automatically done for you on our platform. Remember, this is the educational platform that auto-identifies extreme trends and range extension and exits in advance. So you'll know this information prior to the trade unfolding. In fact, you'll know it prior to even pulling the trigger and getting into the trade. So you can decide for yourself whether you want to take it or not. Remember, we do not teach nor do we trade systems at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. A system requires everyone to trade the exact same way, almost like robots. In order to trade it and to get results and figures and statistics, everyone has to trade the same way. Now this, in my opinion, is a recipe for a disaster. Once again, this is why most traders fail. All right? What we want to do is have a rule-based edge, but then allow you the discretion to make up your mind where you want to enter, where you want to exit, where you want to place your stop. And you'll see that in today's presentation. The beauty of this is that you're going to know all of this in advance. Whereas you don't have to wait and say, well, okay, where am I going to exit? Well, now that I'm in this trade, I don't know what to do here. You're going to know in advance because everything is already automatically pre-formatted on our platform for it. Okay, so let's begin. And remember, once again, we're going to take this step by step in the process. Okay, this is the process you would be unfolding on our platform. Okay, step one. Obviously, you want to apply the new PTS-XT indicator. This is what I told you about. That's going to be getting rave reviews from our students who have already signed up for the course. Let me show you how this works. Okay. Now, as we see this chart in LAD here in mid-May, what you want to do is click on the PTS-XT Extreme Trend tab right here in our green strategy tab. This is where we have all our strategies and all our different methods. Click this on and a drop-down menu will appear. These are all the different ways in which you can display the PTS-XT tool. What we want to do is pick the most popular and the most common. That's our highlighted signal, because what this does is when it determines that an extreme trend is about to begin, it highlights around the bar. So if an extreme downtrend is going to begin, it highlights kind of a reddish orange glow around the bar. But in this case, if an extreme uptrend is about to begin, it highlights around the bar a yellowish type of color. So now right here, the tool is announcing that most likely this is the very beginning of a high probability, strong, extreme upward trend. Okay, so you know this in advance, all right? And you know this as it's unfolding on the platform. Now, what you want to do is buy on the close. If you're interested in this stock, if you're interested, this can also be applied to markets and different markets like futures, currency pairs. What you want to do is buy on the close of the first yellow colored block bar. So this is the very first one, because if we do have a strong trend in play, all the bars will continue to be colored yellow, okay? So you want to get in at the beginning using this particular method that I'm sharing with you today and buy on the close, all right? And as we can see, 4 or 5 days down the road, even though the trend really hasn't started to take off yet, all of the bars continue to be highlighted, this yellowish extreme uptrend type of display here. So you're still okay. Now, step number 3, what you want to do is click on the top bottom feature, the top bottom 25 feature, and then in the drop down menu, click on signal arrows, and I'll explain why. So as we go back to the platform again, now we go up to the green strategy tab here, click on top bottom 25%, and you'll see the drop down menu, click on signal arrows. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to see where these arrows are in the yellow block, in the yellow highlighted area, okay, where these up arrows are. Now we see there's one up arrow here, and there's another one right here. What we want to do is look for the first arrow that was generated in the yellow block. Obviously, it's this one, all right? So here's what you do. You find the very first one. Now, sometimes it's the first bar. Other times it could be the second or third one. That's okay. You just want to continue to track it as long as it's the very first one in yellow. Now, what you want to do is double click on that first highlighted signal arrow. A small box is going to appear, and you'll see range extension exits. You simply click that on. So that's why we added these arrows here. Just double click this first arrow. You'll see this small box appear on the screen. Click on range extension exits. Remember, this is all pre-formatted for you, so all you have to do is click on these things. And it may take a little while now while I'm explaining it, but while you learn this, it'll probably take you no longer than 5 or 10 seconds to do all of this process. And now automatically you see the different exit levels magically appear on the platform for you, okay? That's how simple this is. So even before perhaps you even entered into the trade, you could find this out. Now, so what we want to do is use any one of these to exit. But here's the plan and the method I'm going to be sharing with you today. Since we are in extreme uptrend mode, as highlighted by the yellow, what happens most of the time when you're using the PTSXT is you get these really strong and long trends. That's why we call it the extreme trend tool. So most of the time, sure, you could exit wherever you'd like. But if you're going to have a very long and extreme trend, you don't want to get out too soon. So these are all exits that you could use for other formats. But for this particular format, since we're in the extreme trend, let's choose to exit here at the fourth and last exit point, okay? So as we see the trade unfold, guess what? In about 2 or 3 weeks, it got there. So what you want to do is place a limit, and you would have exited with 30 points. Now at this point, sometimes it goes a little higher, but oftentimes this is where the trend changes. So we always tell our students they should be exiting at the fourth and final exit level, because this is what usually happens. So through this simple process I just shared with you, this is how you can protect your winning trade so that it doesn't turn into a losing trade. First thing in the process is you want a high probability edge. That's the PTSXT, all right? When you apply that, you want to buy the first bar that's outlined and highlighted yellow. Now, once you've done that, you've purchased on the close, then you simply go to the top bottom 25% tab right here in order to apply those arrows. Click on signal arrows. And then once you have the very first arrow that's in the block, this happened to happen right here on the first bar, you double click that and then click on range extensions, and it will tell you where to place your limits. Now, many of our students like to use these different ways. They'll say, well, Steve, I'll sell a portion here, a portion here, a portion here, and get out everything here. Or maybe some will say, well, Steve, when we get up to the second level, I'll move my stop to unchanged, and then I'll sell a portion here, and I'll sell a portion here. Still others will track all the way up and finally exit here all of their position. It's up to you, but what we want to do in this particular method today is sell everything right here at the fourth and final exit level, okay? So that's the process. Now, because the market has been going straight up for the last couple of months, many of our examples are with buying and holding on to a stock or a future or currency pair because the market's been going up. Now, if the market were going straight down the way it was in March, you would see the exact opposite. You just see a lot of shorting opportunities, and you could have exited before the market went straight up. So the majority of the examples I'm going to be sharing with you right now are mainly buy examples. But when the market does turn around and goes into some type of a downtrend, you will see the same exact thing happen to the downside. You just reverse the process. So let's share with you some recent PTSXT signals applying this process I just shared with you so that you can capture and hold on to those winning trades. All right, let's look at APTV, all right? We use the same process. Here's the first highlighted bar right here. This was in mid-May. We apply the top bottom 25% arrows, double click, whoops, and we had the 4 exit levels. You could have used the 4 exit levels to exit right here, and you have a nice 14-point gain in a couple of weeks. Now, after that happened, I'm sure most of our beginning students especially would say, well, Steve, look at, I got out here and it continues to go higher. Well, sure, that may happen, but then look what happened after that. In hindsight, wouldn't you have liked to have gotten out right here as opposed to holding on to this trade and all of a sudden say, gosh, I've given back just about all of my profits? That's the beauty of using these range extension in conjunction with the PTSXT tool. Here's another example. THG gave a buy signal. Now, as you notice, there was no arrow generated on the first bar, but it happened on the second bar. So once you got the second bar, you double click that to find the range extensions. And here it gave the final one right here at 114.97. And look at that. You would have exited right here on this bar for a 15-point gain before it gave it all back in 3 days. So it took you a couple of weeks to make 15 points, was lost in about 3 days. This is why you have to protect your profits. And this is why it's so easy with our platform. Here's another example in CDW, okay? Buy signal was generated. You would have bought right here on the close of this first bar, okay, at the end of May. Now you don't have an arrow, but an arrow was generated on the next day, on the 29th. So you double click that and it will automatically generate the exit levels. Now remember, in this particular technique, since we're using the extreme trend, we want to exit at the fourth and final exit level, which would have been right here for a 15-point gain. Now it went higher after we exited, and the next day it closed higher, but look at this. 3 days later, it gave back everything you would have made. Here's an example in BFAM, okay? A buy signal was generated the first week of June. And there were arrows underneath that using the top bottom 25%. Now, I know a lot of you are probably saying, what is this top bottom 25%? It's simply a pattern recognition way of looking at bars that close either in the top or bottom percentage range of their range, okay? So in this case, we have the first arrow right here, and you want to double click that on, and here are the 4 exit levels. Remember, we're only going to be using the fourth one in this particular display here. Now you have a really nice profit because you bought on the close, and look at the nice profit you have on the second day here, all right? Now look at how this trade unfolded. The very next trading day, well, you're getting closer. You can hardly wait to exit, and look what happened. You had a gap opening, and you exited with a nice 15-point gain. So you're really happy, but at the end of the day, it went even higher, and the next day went higher. So you're probably saying, gosh, Steve, sure, I made a 15-point gain, but I could have made 17 or 18 points. Well, sure, but if you look in hindsight, once again, if you waited 3 or 4 more days, you would have made nothing. So this is why you always have to protect yourself, and this is the beauty of this 1-2 punch here, because it shares with you high probability setups for a nice move, and then it also generates these exit levels for you to get out before it turns into a losing trade. Here's another example in Honeywell, okay? Now here's an example of what we mean by looking for the very first arrow, the top bottom 25% arrow, because it doesn't always happen on your buy bar. Remember, here was the very first highlighted bar here. You would have purchased on the close, and while you've bought it, you're waiting for your first arrow to appear, and nothing has happened yet until this day, about 5 or 6 days later. That's okay because the stock really hasn't done anything. Now you double click on that arrow, and here are the range extension exits that have been generated. So you would have had placed a limit here at 157.85, but look what happened. 2 days later, it gapped up, so you could have gotten that fill on the gap opening, and you made 18 points in about a couple of weeks. Look what happened the very next day, right down. And whatever you bought here turned into a loss. So this is the beauty of this technique, having a high probability edge and then protecting that edge. Another example here in UNP, Union Pacific. Once again, you had a buy signal right here. Nothing much happened for the first 3 or 4 days. There's your first top bottom 25% arrow. You double click that on to generate the exit levels. Here's your exit. You exited right here. The next day it went down, but then gapped up, and you're just kicking yourself saying, why didn't I hold it 2 more days? Well, if you had held it even longer, you would have given back your entire profit once again. Here's an example in CB, all right? We have a buy signal generated right here in mid-May. The very first bar generated a top bottom 25% arrow. So we use this to generate our exit levels, all right? We place an exit limit at 138.05. We wait, we see, okay, well, it's starting to go up. About 2 weeks later, we exited in the first week of June for a 21-point gain. It actually gapped up above our limit. And then in 4 days, we would have given everything or just about everything back. All right, a 27-point gain here in DE. Look at this. We had a really nice buy right here, and it went in our direction with no arrow until the 4th day. That's okay. The first arrow is where you generate the exit levels. Now you place your limit up here at 169.23, and you got it right there, and look what happened. That's where it topped out. You see, this is why we say the 4th exit level is where you should get out, because most of the time, that's where the trend changes. So that's where you want to lock in your profits if you have them at the 4th level, okay? And this is how you avoid turning a winning trade into a losing trade. Now, you're only going to get this on our platform. These are automatically generated for you along with the PTSXT tool. Here's an example in AMP. You had the buy right here in mid-May. There's your first arrow, so you double click that on, then click on range extension exits. Here's the 4th, top one at 160.55, so you place a limit there to exit where you bought right here. That'd be a nice little profit, right? So you hold on, and About 3 weeks later, you exited with a nice gap up right here for a 42-point gain before you would have lost a good majority of your profits 4 days later. And then how about a 125-point gain? We realize that TDG is an expensive stock, but it's all relative. Use the exact same process regardless if you're trading a $5 stock or, as we see in this case, a $300 stock. All right, the same process of applying the range extensions, of placing your limit. In this case, once again, you were lucky to have a gap opening and an exit, and you captured 125 points. Now, let's share with you how it works both ways. For example, in Casey, C-A-S-Y, there was a buy signal generated right here at the end of May. The first bar, or I should say the first top bottom 25% arrow was on this bar right here. You double click that, click on range extension levels and exits for right here, all right? You place a limit to exit where you bought right here. And in roughly about a week, you made a quick 19 points. Not a bad trade, right? And then look what happened after that. You would have given it all back. Now, this was coming into mid-June last month. And then look at, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening in terms of the PTSXT because now we're in the neutral zone. We have the standard white background on our chart. So basically, the tool is saying there's no sign of any type of extreme trend on the horizon until right here, okay? On the 22nd of June, just a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago, look what happened. A sell signal was generated. Why? Because this first bar here was outlined and highlighted kind of a reddish orange. So you would have sold, possibly could have bought the puts, whatever you wanted to do, shorted the stock, or maybe you were still long, you would have exited on here to get out. Right here, you would have sold, waited for the first red bar, top 25%, you use the same process, and here we have a down red arrow. So you click that on, and here's the 4 extension exits to the downside. You want to cover your short position right here at 145.34, and you covered your position for a quick 7 points, and this is what has happened coming into the 29th. Just a couple of days ago, it started to go back up. You see how simple this is? It works on the upside and the downside. In fact, let's look at some down examples here. Here's Coke. This is on the 23rd of June, just last week. This was the first bar highlighted reddish orange. So you would have sold on the close because the tool is determining that a strong downward move is about to take place. Now, here we have 3 exit levels because we have a red arrow, top bottom 25% arrow. So we generated these exit levels. Now the 4th one is down here. We can't see in our chart, but here's one I want to share with you. Sometimes these strong trends will only go to the 3rd level as well. So you have to protect yourself. In this example here, we're looking for the 4th, but just to share with you, sometimes it'll only go down to the 3rd before you'll get the trend dissipating. So this means that you have to protect yourself. So we would suggest that if you get to the 3rd level, to move wherever your stop is to unchanged. This way you protect yourself and at least you didn't lose anything. You broke even on the trade. Now, had you used the 3rd exit level, well, that would have been a 13-point gain. Had you moved your stop to whatever it was to break even, you would have just broken even and not lost anything. Once again, this is how you avoid turning a winning trade of 13 points into a losing one. Okay, another example in MSGS, this Madison Square Garden here. All right, on the 17th of June, a couple of weeks ago, a sell signal was generated. We also had a downward arrow generated on the top bottom 25%. Double click that on, and here are the 4 levels. So if you wanted to go for the biggest bang for your buck, once again, we would suggest using the 4th and final one at 149.10 to cover your short. So let's see how the trade unfolded. Guess what? We went right down there, and on the 25th, just last week, we would have exited with a nice 15-point gain, okay? And look what has happened since then. I took this example just this morning, and as you can see, the stock is looking to go back up. So this was a good place to exit, provided the stock doesn't head down lower, but most likely it's going to be going back up, and you had a nice 15-point gain in just about a week. Now, when the rest of the market was making new highs, you had a nice sell here for a 15-point gain. Here's another example in CME. Same exact process. This was a sell signal. This was in March. Now, we have to go back a little bit because, as I said, there aren't a lot of sell examples generated lately. But remember in March when the market was really falling out of bed, you could have used this exact same process. a sell signal was generated on the 11th of March before the market really fell out of bed. You could have gone short CME, generated the exit levels off of this first arrow here, and right here you could have exited in just a couple of days for a nice 45-point gain. Now look what happened the next week. It kind of oscillated above and below that price, but it really never went that much lower, and ultimately it started going back up. So this was a nice profit of 45 points you could have taken advantage of in just about 2 or 3 days. Here's another example in BKNG. Now we realize once again, we know this is a very expensive stock, but we're just showing you this example that this can be applied to an inexpensive $20 stock as well as a $2,000 stock. Once again, here's the first bar generated here in February, okay? That the PTSXT was announcing that most likely you're going to get a strong downward move, okay, based off its proprietary indicators. So right off the bat, you could have sold on the close of this bar, waited for the first top-bottom 25% red arrow to appear. When it did, you double-click it on to get the range extension levels. And the biggest bang for your buck would be at the fourth exit level right here. You could have exited for a nice nearly 500-point gain, 480 points in just about 3 weeks. Now, it went down a little bit lower, but look what happened after that. And we all know what happened coming into April. The markets went straight up. So this was a great trade to the downside as well. Now, I want to show you how this can be applied to other markets and other time frames, because we know that not everyone just trades stocks. We have futures traders around the world. We have currency pair traders. We have commodity traders, Bitcoin traders. It makes no difference, ETF traders. So I want to share with you how this can be applied. It makes no difference. You can use the exact same process. For example, let's look at this example in the E-mini futures. Here's a 30-minute chart going back to June 15th, all right? Looks like the market is kind of trying to head up. So the first thing you want to do is apply the PTSXT tool. And yes, this first 30-minute bar was highlighted yellow. So what is that telling you? It's telling you that the proprietary indicator is announcing in advance that you're most likely going to have a nice upward move, an extreme move. So what you want to do is buy on the close of that bar using the same format we share with you. This is just one of the ways to trade it. I'm just sharing with you today. You would have, using this format, you would buy on the close of this bar, okay? Then the next thing you want to do is wait and see for an arrow to appear. So after the first 4 or 5 bars here, you would click on top bottom 25%. And guess what? There's where your first arrow was, right here. So on the close of that bar, double click on this 30-minute bar arrow here. And in the small box, click on range extensions. And there are your 4 range extensions. So we purchased right here on the close, the E-mini. We place our limit to sell at 3107.75. And now you simply wait. And in 24 hours, you could have made 115 potential points here. Remember, it's up to you. We're just sharing with you this technique. And that's really a nice little trade there for one day, 115 points. And look at how we've gotten up there and how it started to dissipate after that, okay? How about currency pairs? Here's a daily chart of the Canadian dollar, okay? This was in May coming into June. Once again, we have it outlined reddish orange, so that's telling us that most likely we're going to have an extreme move to the downside. So you could have sold the Canadian dollar on the close of that bar on that day, the 27th of May. Double click on the first arrow, which was on that same bar as well, to generate the exit levels. Place your limit to cover your short position here. And coming into the second week of June, what do we have? 390 pip gain, potentially you could have captured if you used this method here, okay? Went all the way down here. And then look what happened after that. This is why we say you need, first of all, a high probability edge in the form of the PTSXT that highlights whether you're going to have extreme uptrend or downtrend. Then the second thing you need are the range extension so that you can protect yourself and avoid having a winning trade turn into a losing one. Now let's look at a weekly chart of live cattle for you commodity traders, okay? Here's a weekly chart using the same process you could have purchased on the first yellow highlighted bar here. Now in this one, we only generated 3 levels here, so you would have either made 9 points if you used that third, waiting for the fourth one, or broken even. But look what happened on this one, okay? Here was a sell example in March. You could have captured with the fourth extension level 25 points to the downside before it started going back up in May. So as you can see, this can be applied to any market, any time frame, in any direction. We showed you examples in stocks, futures, currency pairs, and even weekly charts of commodities. So let's recap before we go into the question and answer portion. Remember, to apply this process, you need to first use the PTS-XT. It's a proprietary indicator designed to announce in advance when a strong trend is just about to begin. If you have a strong uptrend that it's announcing, then most likely the bar will be highlighted yellow. A strong downtrend, it will be highlighted reddish orange. Secondly, you want to apply the range extensions, okay? This is going to protect you if you have a nice profit in play. This is a calculated exit method based on price ranges that is automatically generated on the platform for you. So why wait any longer for success? If you've been struggling, you owe it to yourself to become a consistent trader. How can you become a consistent trader? By using this two-step process going forward now. So we have a great special for all of you attending today. We're going to offer you our PTS-XT Extreme Trend. This comes with the high probability zones. You can apply to any market, apply to any time frame. You can trade with your current strategy. So once you get one of those high probability zones, you can just use your own strategy if you like, or you can build a strategy based off it. This is just one technique that we share with you. We have dozens of techniques that we teach in the course. This gives you the confidence, the pull to trigger, and it's great for market timing. But we're not going to stop there with this great special we have for you today. We're also going to throw in the PTS Primo charts. Remember, this is the educational platform that identifies these extreme trends and range extension exits in advance, and it automatically does this on the platform. And it takes seconds with the ease of one click on your computer. That's how easy it is to trade with this great tool. Now, we're going to give you 12 months free of the platform for using with the PTS-XT. So this is a great special offer today. And you get many more things on the platform as well. Obviously, you're getting one-click access to the PTS-XT indicator as well as the auto-generated exit levels. But you'll also get our enhanced buy-sell line. These are 4 different ways to find out what the overall trend is of any market, any time frame. You'll also get our strength of trend tool. This is something I designed with Pro Trader Strategies that really has a really strong, powerful way of defining whether a trend is running out of steam or not. You'll get our signal scanner, so you can scan on a nightly basis for these top-bottom 25% arrows. You can also scan on a nightly basis for the PTS-XT Extreme Trend signals. Our PTS-XT Tracker tool. This is another way to use for entering into a trade at a lower price. And then lastly, we have great personalized tech support. So anytime there's any issue with the platform, you can contact tech support and they resolve the issue right away. This is a great offer. So let's break it down so you can start trading in the express lane. Normally, the Extreme Trend special price would be $49.95. We're going to discount that today. We're dropping off $500 off that. It's only going to be $44.95. And you're also going to get that 12 months of the platform. But we're also going to throw in payment plans. So if you still can't come up with $49.95, don't worry. For a limited time, you will be able to still purchase this with a small deposit and structure a payment plan with Pro Trader Strategies. You can be up and running with the PTS-XT and with the platform for 12 months as early as today. All you have to do is contact Pro Trader Strategies. Now, I just wanted to announce it's official. The PTS-XT is now the most popular trading tool amongst our students. We've had rave reviews about this. We've had testimonies from students around the world who love this now. So become a part of this community. Become a part of these students who are becoming consistent for the very first time. Take advantage of this great offer and contact Pro Trader Strategies. You can either email them at trading@protraderstrategies.com with any questions, or I would strongly suggest calling them up directly at area code 310-598-6677. They have trading consultants managing the phones right now. There's absolutely no obligation. They would be more than happy to contact you and to or actually talk with you and ask you any question or answer any question that you have. Let's say you want to put together a payment plan, okay? without any obligation. They will be able to tell you what would be required, and you can think about it for the next couple of days while it's still being offered, so you can make your decision. So give them a call. There's absolutely no obligation at all, okay? Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you up to the sign-up page. So simply copy and paste that onto your browser, and that will take you up to a more informational page and a link as well. It will tell you how to sign up online if you'd like to take advantage. Now, I promised that I would answer your questions at the end. So if you have any questions, now's the time. Just go to the GoToWebinar question and answer page, type them in, and I will be happy to answer them. Okay, first question, how are the range extensions calculated? Percentage of buy price, Fibonacci numbers? We explain it in the class. I don't really want to go into detail. Remember, we do not trade systems where everything is a black box or everything is just formatted for you and all you have to blindly do is take the signal. So everything is taught. It's based off range, okay? It's based off the current range of the current bars. And without going into detail, because it may be a little confusing, I've given webinars on the range extensions before, but I have to kind of show you on an example. It's a lot easier on the display to share with you, but it's based off range, okay? It's not based off price, it's based off the range of price, and it's not based off Fibonacci, okay? But we don't keep it, it's not a black box, we don't keep it hidden. It's all explained in the course so that you can decide how to apply them, okay? And there are different ways to apply them. I just share with you one, because let's say you have a strategy. Let's say you're a member of ours and you have a current strategy and you apply the range extensions. Well, you can use them any way you'd like. You can exit on the very first one, the second one. The only reason I'm sharing with you the extreme fourth one in this particular method I was sharing with you today is because the PTS-XT is designed to announce these extreme big moves. So obviously, if it's designed for a big move, you don't want to get out of a big move right off the bat with the first exit level, okay? So that's why with the PTS-XT, it's often beneficial to exit at the fourth one, the third or fourth one, because that's what the PTS-XT was designed for. It's designed to announce that there's a big move going to be taking place. Now, remember, ultimately it's up to you. Even with the PTS-XT, if you wanted to get out at the first exit level and move on to the next one, if you like to trade a lot, that's perfectly admissible. Remember, you are in charge of your trading. As I stated in the opening statements, we are not here to tell you how to trade. We're here to give you all these different variables and teach you so that you can decide how you want to format your particular method, okay? I just shared with you one example today. Good question, though. Someone is asking, can we use this on our own platform? Well, unfortunately, the PTS-XT and the range extension, they're automatically formatted only on our platform. So, right now, the reason why we have it is because of its ease of use. It's just so easy with our platform to just click on PTS-XT and it'll automatically display the highlight, or to click on range extensions. This whole process I shared with you today probably takes about maybe less than 5 seconds. So it was a little wordy today when I was explaining it, but once you get the hang of it, in about 5 seconds, you'll see if you have a signal, and in about 5 seconds, you'll see where you should be exiting. It's that simple. But remember, nothing is held in terms of a black box. You know exactly how to trade this. Good questions. Someone asks, can we use this on intraday currency pairs? Yes, and I showed a daily chart of the Canadian dollar, but you could use this. We have a lot of traders who apply this to 30-minute and 4-hour charts of the currency pairs, even on tick bars. We have a lot of students that use this on tick charts. It makes no difference what time frame, what market, and what direction. That's how versatile these methods are, and that's how easy they can transfer over. Can we scan for these setups? Well, what you can do is you can't scan for the range extensions, but what you can do is scan for the PTS-XT signals, and then you can scan for the first top bottom 25% arrows. Excuse me, I was trying to think of what they were. The top bottom 25% arrows. So you can find out where these setups are with the first arrow, and then you can decide and look at them and see where you want to exit. So yes, you can scan for those things very easily, and you can do a nightly scan as well. And on top of that, the nightly scan takes about maybe 30 seconds. It's that simple as well, too. So we designed everything to be extremely simple and to be easily accessible with one click of your mouse and have it right there for you. Now, as we close here, remember, take advantage of this great offer. I know a lot of you still have trouble coming up with $44.95, and that's perfectly admissible. But remember, we're offering payment plans. So you can contact Pro Trader Strategies. There's absolutely no obligation. They would be happy to structure a payment plan with you over the phone, give you information so you can think about it. But take advantage of this now before the price goes up and before this offer is not around any much longer. Remember, you owe it to yourself to become a consistent trader. If you're having difficulty, this is now our most popular tool at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. Take advantage of these prices and of this payment plan while you have it available, okay? In conclusion, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to see this presentation today. I hope you learned something on how to protect the trade and how to avoid having a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So as we get ready to exit here, I just want to say thank you so much again. And as we take one last look at our disclaimer, I want to wish all of you a really nice upcoming holiday, a safe and restful holiday. And I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the PTS XT Extreme Trend class. Thank you so much for listening today. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.